The first tip is deceptively simple. Find the title, or at least the hook, as early as you can. The point is not that every song must begin with a perfect title. Sometimes you write your way toward the idea. But the earlier you notice the phrase that feels like the doorway into the song, the easier every later choice becomes. A title gives a song a center of gravity. It tells you what belongs, what is only interesting but unrelated, and what can be saved for another song. Great songs usually do not try to cover every emotion in the room. They narrow in. They choose one feeling, one image, one wound, one promise, one question, and then they go deep. So when you are free writing, keep a little searchlight running in the back of your mind. Ask, what line here sounds like the door? What phrase makes me curious? What phrase could hold the whole song? Tip 2 is about choruses. If your song has a title or a hook, the chorus needs to make that hook impossible to miss. A useful default is to repeat it at least twice inside the chorus. That can mean opening and closing the chorus with the same line, or letting the hook return like a spotlight at the emotional peak. The deeper lesson is that a chorus is not just a verse with different chords. The verse explains the world. The chorus puts bright lights around the message. It says, "This is the feeling you came here for." Repetition is one of the simplest ways to do that. If the hook only appears once, the listener may understand it, but they may not remember it. If it returns in the right places, it starts to feel inevitable. The chorus becomes something the listener can hold on to before the song is even over. Tip 3 is to amplify reality. When people talk, we cushion ideas with little qualifiers. We say maybe sometimes it feels like, it seems as if. Conversation can survive that because the person across from us can ask follow-up questions. A lyric has less room. It has to hit with clarity. So instead of writing around the idea, write the idea. If the emotion is fear turning into fuel, do not spend 3 lines apologizing for the image. Say it cleanly. Lyrics are not court transcripts of ordinary speech. They are ordinary truth with the static removed. That does not mean every line has to be dramatic or oversized. It means the line should know what it is trying to say. When you revise, circle every phrase that weakens the claim. Then try the line without it. Most of the time, the lyric gets sharper, more emotional, and easier to sing. Tip 4 is to give your first line more attention than feels reasonable. The first line is not just the first thing people hear, it is the invitation into the song's emotional problem. A strong opening line often does 3 jobs at once. It avoids vague setup. It puts us close to a tension, conflict, or situation, and it quietly points toward the hook that will arrive later. That does not mean the first line has to explain everything. In fact, it is often stronger when it does not. It should create a clean sense that something is already happening. Someone wants something. Someone lost something. Someone knows something they wish they did not know. If the opening line could belong to 1,000 songs, keep digging. If it makes the listener lean forward, you are closer. Spend the time there. The first line teaches the audience how to listen. Tip 5 is point of view. In songwriting, point of view often comes down to pronouns. I, you, we, he, she, they. That sounds small, but it can completely change the emotional temperature of a song. If I sing directly to you, the lyric can feel intimate, confrontational, romantic, or urgent. If I describe someone else speaking to someone else, the same event can feel compassionate, distant, reflective, or observational. The facts of the story may not change, but the relationship changes. Before you lock the lyric, test the point of view. Sing the idea as direct address, then try it as a story about someone else. Try first person if the song needs confession. Try second person if it needs closeness. The right point of view is not the fanciest one. It is the one that makes the emotion land with the least explanation. Tip 6 moves from lyric into melody. Save the highest note of the song for the chorus, or at least for the moment that matters most. High notes naturally pull attention. They feel like arrival, release, lift, and pressure. If every section is already reaching the top of the melody, the chorus has nowhere to go. The source video phrases the principle beautifully. If everything sparkles, nothing shines. That is the practical heart of it. Your verse can be compelling without spending the song's biggest melodic currency too early. Let the verse build tension. Let the pre-chorus raise expectation. Then let the chorus claim the brightest note when the central idea appears. This is not a rigid law, but it is a powerful default. Melody is architecture. Give the roof line somewhere to rise. Tip 7 is process, and it may be the one most writers resist. Write more songs. Quality usually comes from quantity. Not because every song will be good, but because every finished song teaches you something that an unfinished loop cannot. If you write only 5 songs in a year and demand that all 5 be perfect, you put too much pressure on each idea. You also deny yourself the pattern recognition that comes from repetition. When you write 50, you start noticing your defaults. You learn which openings are lazy, which chorus shapes actually work, which melodies feel natural, and which ideas keep returning because they matter. Volume gives you evidence. It gives you taste. It gives you options. So yes, revise. Care. Push the craft. But also finish more songs than your perfectionism thinks is polite. Tip 8 is the counterintuitive one. Do not confuse generic lyrics with universal lyrics. It feels logical to make a line broad so more people can relate to it, but broad often becomes blurry. Listeners do not connect to fog. They connect to details that make a feeling believable. A specific street, a room, a shirt, a weather detail, a half-finished cup on the counter. Those details make the listener's own memories wake up. The more honest and particular the image is, the more room the audience has to feel their own version of it. That is why a generic line like time passed is weaker than a concrete image that shows time passing. Specificity is not a limitation. It is the handle on the door. So when a lyric feels flat, ask what the listener can see, touch, or remember. Make the feeling visible.